Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Powerful on Purpose. I am your host, Leslie Capps, the founder of Author in 30. This is a podcast where we talk to freaking amazing women doing brilliant things, and their businesses have grown out of their story, right? The need they experienced or saw others experience, and how do I solve that? And my guest today is no exception to that rule. Super excited to and delighted to bring her to you. I have with me Dr. Carolyn Hatton. She is a former dental surgeon. In fact, she was the first female doctor in Aspen, Colorado. See, I know a little behind the scenes on Carolyn. She is a success coach. She is a stage speaker and wanting to take that stage speaking and presence out into the world, literally, internationally. And she also has a book coming up. There is so much more to tell you about Carolyn, but I want to jump in and visit with her because you're just going to feel yummy about this conversation. So, welcome, Carolyn.
Hey, Leslie, that was awesome. Thank you. My God, I'm going to have to up my ante after that. Stress.
Yeah, right. Great. I think you'll be able to live up to it. Well, I know what you talk about, and your book is going to be about the body listens, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
if you could share with our audience, because I always think it's a beautiful way to start and it gives us as some context, why is that important to you? Why? Because let's face it, you could have done a bunch of other things. You're highly qualified, highly skilled, and yet you chose to say, wait a minute, I want to be a coach, and then I want to speak and write books to help other people with this.
Okay. So I'm going to start with the body listens. And I just did a presentation some weeks ago, and it was entitled the same thing. And what I taught was that there are three conversations that your body is listening to 100% of the time. The first one is the conversations in your mind. You can call that mindset. The second conversations or set of conversations are of your beliefs. And the third set of conversations that your body is always listening to are the actual stories you put in your body all by your little self. The icky things like, I'm not this, oh, I'm not that, all the things that really kind of end up messing you up that, through life. You call yourself about yourself. So those are the three conversations, and they're so important. The first one, that the heavy one, is the mindset. We always talk about mindset. Mindset is the first conversation that the body listens to. And what it is the stories you tell yourself over and over for years, forever, for years. And it really does a number on us. It really does a number. And people are so unconscious of it. It's habitual, it's learned, and it's serious. It's serious about your happiness in your life, how you live it.
Absolutely. How does this fit into your own story, right? What led you down this path to really determining, figuring out the stories that our body listens to?
Well, I lived in Aspen for 30 years, and when I moved there, I just graduated from dental school, and I moved to this magical place in the mountains, and I arrived, and oh my God, was I out of touch. Everybody was just so healthy, so fit, and the first day I met my new assistant, they were nice. They said, would you like to go hiking tomorrow? Isn't hike a 4-letter word? I didn't say that to them. Shit, I've never hiked, bike, trek. I've never done any of those things. I'm from Texas. It's hot, but I didn't want to be left. And they were being kind, saying, you're new, we're going to take you. So I thought, oh, I'm a little worried. So I said, can you tell me something about the hike? And they said, oh, we're going to go to American Lake. I went, oh, that sounds nice. That sounds easy. It wasn't Peak Lake or, Devil's Canyon Lake, or it was American Lake. In my mind, I went, that's friendly. I can do this. I said, wait a minute. How far is it? Oh, it's just 2 miles. I went, I've never done anything 2 miles in my life. I went, you can do this. You can do this. So I strapped on the next day my little kid tennis shoes. They had hiking boots. I thought it was going to be forever. I thought I was going to die before I even got halfway. I said, how much further? How much further? And it wasn't 2 miles like this. It was 2 miles like this. And I get to the top, I'm dying. That wasn't the worst part. The worst part is the coming down. So I was in my little heads. They had their bike, and so it held their, and a boom, 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 boom. I lost 8 toenails, but I had been anointed. I belonged. I paid a price for that one. And I learned, oh my God, you're going to have to change big time if you're going to live here. These people they are not forgiving. If you can't keep up, they will leave your little buns at home. And I realized it that day. I went, oh my God. So I learned to ski. I learned to play tennis. I learned to sail. I learned anything athletic. I learned what a gift that was in my life. Now, fast forward, I retire and I go to San Antonio, different world, hot, 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 close to Mexico. Everyone's a little, not a little, and they eat the enchiladas and the tacos and the queso and the guacamole and the things I never eat because they're like, but I kind of got into it and I started, and one day I went, oh, I don't like this. Ooh. And if you keep doing this, it's going to get worse. So I got really strict with myself and I started figuring out ways to slowly lose weight, not fast. It never works fast. So I figured out things, little things I could do. Just, the word is, it's always called consistency. That's it. And so I lost weight and I thought, I'm never doing this yo-yo again. Never doing the yo-yo again. It's too friggin' hard. So that was my transition. The other transition was of identity. So when I moved here, I didn't know anybody. It was after COVID. And I was invited to play Mahjong with 3 other ladies. So I played Mahjong. I had a nice little jacket and shirt, and I go there and I'm playing Mahjong. And at the end, I'm getting ready to leave and everything, so I'm hoping they'd invite me back. And this little old lady walked up to me. Now she's younger than I am. She's small, and I'm little, but she's small. And she looks at, she got the little pin curls, she looks like her granny. And she goes, "You're so weird." And I went, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do with that? It was a challenge. It was not nice. I got it. And thinking really fast. And what I learned, what I thought very quickly is, I'm being invited to join a group of ladies. I'm different. This was the challenge, a warning. You change. It was not so hidden, but I got the message. You need to change. You don't look like us.
Right.
And I got that one. So I went, thank you. I'm so glad you noticed. And she went, I never got invited back, and not since. But I knew that I was at a danger. I was a line. And I'm very isolated here, but I'm planning to go back to Dallas. But I would rather be isolated than capitulate. I don't look like them, I don't act like them, and I don't want to. So I have to pay the price of not allowing myself to go into that circle because it's not going to be good for me.
Yeah, absolutely. You bring up a great point, right? Certainly age gives us a different perspective, but I can think of times being younger, right? And really wanting to be part of that group. And especially as women, I think we morph to accommodate that, to belong.
When I talk to men in podcasts, I give that story and they look at me like, what are you talking about? I said, women are like that. I don't know if you noticed it, but men aren't so much. They'll go play golf with the guys, but they're not like a pod that go to lunch and they go do this. I mean, they don't move in a pod. Men don't do that. But women do. It's like a survival thing, a survival thing that from a long time ago. But it will not disturb that pod. If you do want to be different, you have to be brave. You have to be able to sustain the stares, the little whisperings, pushing you out a little bit. They'll push out a little bit to see if you get scared. And you cannot fall victim of that. And there are people who do that well, and there are a lot of people who don't do it well. And then people say, oh, I've been trying this, and I've been trying this, and I've been trying this, and it never seems to work. And I think this is so interesting. Why is it that people that like us that coach don't want to say the word, I'm a coach, you need a coach? Why? I just realized this last week. I said, damn, here are these FIFA cool guys who are like the top in the entire world, and they have how many coaches? You have an opera singer. They have a coach. Actresses have coaches. I mean, everybody has a coach. And they tell you about their coaches, but we're like, oh, I have a coach. I mean, everybody needs help in a certain thing. They have a coach.
Right.
And sometimes we don't own it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find that's a difference between men and women as well?
A lot of things are different. But
I mean, we could go on for days about that, but that one in particular.
I think people who are not getting things accomplished and they think about it, but they don't want to say it because it means, oh, there's something wrong with you. That's the second part of the sentence. What's wrong with you? And then, well, you can't take care of this yourself. Let me tell you what, neither can they. It's like a little Debbie Downer. You can't take care of that yourself. Women are interesting, aren't they?
Very interesting. Very. You expressed this a little bit before we jumped on about something at 45. I think that's kind of the age you said that really things, and I suppose that's hormone changes and things going on biologically, right? That creates some of this. But really, at 45, women begin to internally question things.
Don't you think it might be menopausal starting? Maybe a
Well,
trigger,
yeah.
that M word, you know?
Yep.
I agree. It's triggered. I think menopause triggers a lot of things. And, you know, your hair changes texture. I mean, so many changes, and you just lost yourself. You really have lost your identity from who you were. And now it's like a door went by, and you're like, I'm a different person. I look like a different person. I feel like a different person. It is crappy. It's crappy. I'm sorry.
No more. We're putting a stop to it.
No more crappy.
Exactly.
And they don't feel crappy. They never feel crappy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. So tell us a little bit about, because I know your speaking is related to your book and you help specifically women 45 plus, right? Look at their life, look at those stories that we carry. And I think we also generationally as women carry stories with us. What's your thought on how to move past those stories?
I think we tend to put everybody in a bucket. That's, oh, if they just get help, if they just want to, they can do this. That's not true. There's a whole gamut of women with different skill sets, learning sets, understanding set. I mean, there's just a whole range. And a few women can take it as something, an issue, and solve it themselves. That's a tiny little group at the front. And then there's a mass behind them. There's certain degrees each long way. And then there's the one about halfway on down that they say, oh, I tried that before. How many times? Oh, I've tried that before. It doesn't work. Oh, I tried that before. And then they start shutting up because it starts sounding bad. I tried, how many times did you try? And they just shut up. And so they don't ever try anymore. But there's these clients somewhere in the upper middle that have tried, but they're still longing. And so when I do a webinar, I think it is the best damn time to watch like hell on the screen. And as I speak, I'm watching. Now, they're the people that are like, isn't that cute? And they go, oh, she's so cute. She's so much fun. She's so much fun. I'm Southern. I can do it. She's so much fun. And you go, she went there for entertainment, curiosity. Then there's the one riding like crazy and staring at you with a certain kind of intensity. I want to remember her. I always invite them for a 45-minute conversation and only ask one question. I go, so can you tell me about the issue that you'd like to talk about that would help to improve your life? And that silence, women hate silence, but it's golden. So I just zip it and I just let them struggle a little bit. They do a lot of movements. And there'll be two women. One woman will just start chitty-chatting like crazy about nothing, filling in the void. At the end, I'll say, well, I really learned a lot about you, but I don't know why you're here. You haven't said anything about why you're here and why you want to be here. And they go, oh, I said, they either stop and agree or embarrassed, you know, or they stop and they go, okay, and they'll start on a different level. The best client is the one that says, I'm here because they already know, they've already paid attention, they have intention, they know what they want, they couldn't do it before, and that is your client. Now, the thing I've learned is that when I was a doctor, patients would come in, they always told the front desk what was wrong. Why? They don't tell me, but when I walk in, I say, what's the problem? Well, I already know because on the shirt, it has it, but they don't know that. For some reason, I think I don't know. So they'll make up a story completely opposite of what's on here. Fear. They don't want me to say the words that they're afraid of.
Wow.
They play a game. It's playing a game with themselves. They're wiggling around. I said, well, I have this little thing here. I said, oh, that's a bruise. I said, you know what? It's a bruise. If you want to, just come back. It should go away in 2 weeks. If it doesn't, you call me and I will see you right away. Well, they just BS'd me. And I gave them a reason why they can leave. And I said, well, I guess I solved your problem for right now. And I start for the door and they go, doc, I have something else. Here it comes. And everybody wonders why I'm 30 minutes late for every patient. It's the same friggin' scenario. As I'm walking out the door, you hear the truth. You can't keep walking out the door then. And I go, yeah, I'm late all the time because I have to listen to the second act. And they'll tell you. And they're afraid. They're afraid of hearing the truth. And so if don't do that little scenario or call them on it in a kind of funny little way. If I just say, well, I don't know what's wrong with you, and just let, I always say, I answer something stupid, and then I say, well, I saw that. Okay. So I walk out and I go, if I don't do that, they're going to walk out and they're going to tell their friends, she didn't help me. They didn't tell me either, but it's never their fault that they did not tell me. So they will make up a story that, oh, she didn't help me. Or as a coach, they'll say, well, I spent the money, but I didn't get anything out of it. That's that woman that was chitty chatty. She's the one that's going to say that about you and hurt your business. So I learned in medicine, really be cogent of who you spend your time with. Your time is money, and you should have results. More than results, you should have people who believe in you and tell the world, and at least their girlfriends. And if you don't have that, you don't have a business. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I learned that doing medicine. I've always thought about that because they could ruin your, especially in Aspen. I was the only female doc in a town of 6,000 people. You don't give them something and you let them play that game, your reputation was gone like fast.
Sure. And I'm sure there was plenty of male dentists that would have been happy to, yeah.
But as coaches, I think we can help everybody. It's not true. I can't help everybody as a doctor. I can't. It's just impossible. So being selective, you get to spend the time, your valuable time with the people who really want it. And then you get to spend time with your own security of in your mind. If you did a great job, you're really good at this, and people are going to say nice things about you. Of course they should. They should. I'm always aware of that all the time.
Yeah. And I can see in your circumstances, right? In the environment you were in, makes complete sense.
Yeah, I went to Dallas later on at Baylor, and I still followed it because we would talk about it. I said, oh, this is kind of like a little show. I said, I'm not sure what part is truth. People just, they don't want to tell you the truth because they don't want to hear the bad stuff. So they play this little game. It's common with patients. And I said, okay, let's figure out what. I said, somebody go in there and ask her another question. I mean, it's usually a group of us at one time, like at like Parkland, you go in groups. Somebody go ask her a different way. Maybe if you ask a different way, you're going to get some information. And you kind of went, I don't know. I don't know. It's not, I don't know what's going on here. You have to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so many different games in life.
I think you're playing the game to help both of you, to help them and to help you. I mean, it's playing like bocce or something. You're like balls going back and forth. And so if you all play the game well, you get to keep communication, right? The ball is communication. If one drops the ball, you lost the conversation. You have to start over.
Right? Or move on. Yeah. From that conversation. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
A game.
Yeah, for sure. Well, tell us a little bit about your book and speaking to this idea of having a book as a speaker, right? And how those work together.
Well, originally in speaking class, one of the first things they encourage you to do is to write a book, especially if you're a beginner, because it creates credibility. So I was the first person to start a book in my class, and it was a lot harder than I thought, a lot longer than I thought. Oh my God. And I was like, and yeah. And I had unfortunate circumstances, so I'm starting the publishing process again. But it feels good because it does, in the process of doing it, you organize your thoughts and you organize your mantras and you organize the way you're going to do things, your process. I don't think until you do that, you have to write a book. You have to get clear. And I realized later on that writing a book is clarity. It's not just cred, it's clarity. It's so valuable. And so now a lot of times when I answer questions, I'm basically answering like part of my presentation. I just gave 3 conversations, but I can also use parts of my book. So it gives you a lot of things. It gives you lots of handles.
Sure.
In life.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very valuable.
Yeah. Love that answer. Well, is there anything else? Because we're wrapping up here and we could go on because we have before people and solve all the world's problems. But anything else that you'd like to share with our audience, one, and then tell us if somebody wants to find you online, where do you hang out online?
I can't think of a question because I can think of a lot, but I would rather turn that back to you. So what is the compelling question you don't want to ask?
What is the compelling question I want to ask?
You really want to ask.
Right? Well, I do always ask people this, usually behind the scenes, but we'll consider that. What is one thing that you'd like to talk about that you never talk about in this sort of setting?
That's interesting. I'm writing something with chat right now, and it's like very going deep, really deep. And he gives me homework every night. And he said, "How'd you get to be you?"
Wow.
I didn't want to answer it because they're stories. You have stories. I don't want to answer it. They're kind of embedded, they're kind of covered up. And I said, this is your opportunity. If you let this go, you may not have another opportunity. And this is going to be, at this time in your life, any time in your life is good, but I don't know if I'm going to have any more opportunities. I mean, I'm 80, so I thought, take every opportunity you have. Oh, you learn that when you get to 79. Oh, you better not let that go. So I sat up and I read and I read and I read. No, I didn't read. I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. And it was all the bad things that happened to me in my life. There were some bad ones. My father was very abusive, beat me every day, told me I was ugly. I'll never be pretty. I'll never get married. Nobody will ever want me. And you're a little kid, you know what? It didn't go in. I just let it go because I didn't know the intention. I didn't understand intention when you're 8 years, 9 years, and I didn't understand the repercussions. So you're just a little kid, and it's okay. And I went back to work on my homework and stuff, and it was just like it just kind of blew over me. But then I realized later on, all the things that I did was to prove my father wrong. Now, some people get really pissed off about that. They go, "Oh, look at all the things I did because of my father." But you know what? I'm so thankful. Oh my God, I became a doctor. I'm now a mastermind coach. I am like writing a book. All those things are because I had to know myself. I had to believe in myself since I was 8, and I didn't even know it until I thought back in reverse. Where did that kind of, and you don't think that can happen to an 8 or 9 year old? Yeah, it can. So that was, I've never talked about that because it was really bad stuff.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but I am so resilient and I have a better life than most people, but I'm also resilient because I know I can survive just about anything. And that's a good thing to know. And you don't know that until you go through some hard stuff, some icky stuff. Then you know you can get through things.
Absolutely. I love that. And talk about a mic drop. That's a perfect place to wrap that up. That reframing those tough lessons in life and looking at what and who they made us become, right?
Exactly, Leslie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming, Carolyn. Love you and always enjoy having you in my world. And you'll come back when you have your book published. We can,
Love to.
yeah, do an episode for that.
Thank
And
you.
everyone else, be sure and subscribe because you don't want to miss more conversations. We get down to the nitty gritty here and of fabulous women who have big missions to go out and change the world for good. Catch you on the other side.